What's going on YouTube? This is Cajun Motor Co. Here to bring you a tech tip on installing a HotCam into an XR650R. Let's jump into it. I couldn't find any information myself on an actual install on this bike, so I decided to give you a couple little tips to help you out if y'all decide to go this route. I am installing the Stage 2 HotCam. And this is the liquid cooled R model, not the L. Anyways, a couple things people have questions about. One is the decompression lever, how the mechanism works. What you want to do basically is you just want to take it off of the compression lever itself. It's actually built into the valve cover, as I'll show you right here. There it is. Nothing comes apart on the inside. As you can see it right here. Right here you can see it. And it just rests on the other side. That's how it works to open an exhaust valve whenever you need to use the decompression lever. No, installing this cam will not get rid of your decompression lever. It will, however, get rid of the automatic decompression click that you hear when you find top dead center right here, because it's built onto the factory cam. Well, when you put a hot cam in it, that will get rid of it. Anyways, after you take that off, you want to take off all the bolts on top of your valve cover and lay them out in a sequence where you know which one goes where. After you get to that stage, you'll see right here you got cam bolts. Well, since you don't have your rockers on there anymore, you can actually use your kickstand and move your motor over to find, get access to your cam sprocket bolts. What you want to do is break it loose. Don't take it out yet. Break it loose. Rotate the engine over to where you can find the other cam sprocket bolt, and then you want to break that one loose. Then you can take it out, rotate your engine, and get to your other one. After you get both of them out, the best thing to do is, you see how I have this wire holding the top of the sprocket gear up? That way, when I do take the cam out, none of the sprocket or timing chain will fall into the bottom of the motor. That's going to be your safest and best bet. After that, you're going to want to take out your cam. This bearing comes off this side and your cam comes out the sprocket the other way. Put your assembly lube on there, and then you want to install it back. Give me a second and I'll have the other one installed, and I'll give you a little more tip. Alright guys, got the Stage 2 hot cam in. There you go. Went in and took off my little safety wire. The cam sprocket bolts are 20 Newton meters of torque or 14 foot-pounds of torque, which is 168 inch-pounds. Make sure and get them tight. You want to screw them in. Rotate your crank, like so. And rotate it. And once you get both of them screwed in finger tight, then you want to torque them down. You got these little holes in here. Let's see. I like to stick my little extension in here because you got another metal surface right here that it can rest on. And then you can torque it down. Of course, rotate the engine over, get that torque down. Anyways, make sure you use a good engine assembly lube. Doesn't matter what you use. I've even used the Lucas oil stabilizer, thick as honey. Make sure and cover all of your spots that are going to be rotating. Well, any friction areas. You see I got some on top of my springs. And that's cool that the XRs come with factory dual springs. And you can see on the inside of there, it's got another spring on the inside. Anyways, I went ahead and put some on the end of the camshaft before I slid the bearings on. This bearing is a little tricky to get on because you got to slide the cam in from this side and put the bearing in on this side at the same time. Just be careful you don't drop it down in there into your motor. That'll be fun getting that out. And anyways, after I get them torqued back down, I'm gonna go ahead and put in my cam chain tensioner. Correction, your cam chain tensioner You remove the outer bolt in the middle. Let's see if I can get a shot of it. Alright, there's a slot on the inside of it. When you rotate it clockwise with a screwdriver, it actually sucks the cam chain tensioner into the body, and you actually have to install it that way. But as soon as you release, you know, this side or take the screwdriver out, it wants to pop back out. So when you put it into the motor, screw it all the way clockwise till it stops. Run your two outer bolts down. You know, run them all the way down, you know, alternating, you know, top bolt, bottom bolt, until you're touching the engine. It's 9 foot-pounds of torque, or 12 newton meters, to sink them into the engine block. And then after you get those down, you can remove a screwdriver or whatever you have holding that little slot on the inside to keep the tensioner from coming out. And then put your other bolt in the center, and then it's also 9 foot-pounds of torque. All right, get that wrapped up. All right, guys. After you get your head bolted on, make sure your maintenance surfaces are clean. You can use, even Honda didn't have a gasket there. They used a type of sealant. I used red RTV Permatex high temp. Once you get your valve cover back on, you know, make sure you find top dead center first before you put it on, because you're going to be pressing against your valve springs. All of your 8mm nuts are going to be torqued down to 9 foot-pounds of torque, or 12 newton meters. Your two 13mm bolts, I think that's 13, 12 or 13mm bolts, they are going to be torqued down to 17 foot-pounds of torque, or 23 newton meters. Make sure you go in a cross pattern, you know, you'll see all the stuff on there. Don't forget the 2 bolts that go on the inside of your valve springs covers. You know, check your rocker arms. They got a bolt that goes on each side underneath there that hold the valve cover down as well. Make sure to, don't forget your decomp lever bracket goes on this far bolt. And yeah, after that, rotate your motor a few times, blah blah blah, and then you have to check your valve clearance, valve spring clearance. Now Jake the Garden Snake, on his YouTube channel, he's got an excellent, you know, method the way he checks his. And but after you do this cam, you're gonna want, let's see, where's my little cam card? Let's see, stage 2 hot cams. On the intake, you're going to want 0.15mm valve lash, and then the valve lash on exhaust is going to be 0.20mm. Now the way I check them, you know, after you find top dead center, you can check your rocker arms. You should be able to, they should be free played just a tad. You know, put that size, like your 0.15mm you know, valve lash guide, blah blah blah. Find that one. It should go in. It should have a little bit of a friction going in and out. You should not be able to shove the next size, which would have been like a 0.18, I believe. You should not be able to fit those underneath your valves. That's how tight it should be when you set your valve lash to 0.15. You know, once you find your certain feeler gauge where it's supposed to be, you should not be able to put the next size up. Same with the exhaust, 0.20. I tried 0.23. I couldn't get mine underneath the rocker arms. So I'm good to go. Make sure you rotate your engine a few times before you find top dead center to, you know, you're not binding up. That way you know you got everything correct. Then you check your valve lash. All right, I'll get this thing buttoned back up and we should be able to start it here soon. All right, so I'm gonna try the initial startup. or doing your brake in, about 30 minutes. Elevate your RPMs, don't push it. Try to keep it around 3,000, but you know, keep the rev range, you know, fluctuate it. 30 minutes to an hour. Come back, change your oil, check your valve clearances again, and then you should be ready to go after that. Just you know, don't push it or, you know, really hard for the next 3 hours. Don't run at highway speeds for a long time. And it should be good. Keep fluctuating your RPMs. Let the cam break in really well. You should be good to go. See if I can get mine cranked.